Do you dream of fairies and princesses? Then you've come to the right place. Welcome to Disney Coast to Coast.
Hey folks, and welcome to Disney Coast to Coast, the ultimate unofficial Disney fan podcast. I'm Jeff DePauli, and today on the show I have two great interviews for you with folks from Elena of Avalor. Craig Gerber is the creator of Elena of Avalor, and Jillian Rose Reed is the voice actress who plays Naomi on the show. Let's start with Craig's interview, where we talk about how Elena of Avalor grew out of his original show, Sophia the First, the crazy road he took to get his start at Disney, the process of pitching a show for Disney Junior, and so much more. So let's jump to that interview right now. Obviously, you are doing some great projects with Disney, but how did it start for you? What was like the first thing that got you in the door at Disney or recognized by Disney?
Disney and I have a really interesting history. It goes back to the beginning of my writing career. And by beginning, I mean when I got out of film school and I was a live action screenwriter, which is what I did for a number of years with limited success, but I did it. The first feature film I wrote was set up with Disney back in the 90s. And,
which was what?
It wasn't animated.
Okay.
But it was a adventure movie, coming of age story based on this legend that I could never really prove. It took place during World War II. It was about these famed Andalusian horses in Poland that were rescued by a stable boy and ridden out of occupied Europe. And so, I wrote this. It was the first script I ever wrote in film school. And then I got out of film school and these producers sort of found me, or I found them, and we worked on it for a couple of years, and then we set it up at Disney, and then it went into that development black hole that many things go into.
Yeah.
But so then I did other things for many years. One day, this is, I think, after the writer's strike. And at that point, I was like a Writers Guild member and had been on strike, and the business was disrupted.
Yeah.
I got a call.
Was this the 2007-8
It was exactly that.
Yeah, okay.
It was exactly that. It was like...
So many good shows got canceled because of that writer's strike. It was crazy.
I mean, a lot of things got canceled. I had several things in development. One of them was with a production company that had their own money, but after the 2008 financial crisis, they didn't have their own money.
Wow.
And so that impacted that. I got a call from a friend of mine who I'd known for a long time, who I never really got to work with professionally, who was working at Disney Toon Studios, because they needed someone to tie all the Disney fairies mythology together. And, he had tried to get me in the door there before, but I as much as I loved animation, I've always loved animation. I took an animation course in college. I couldn't draw very well, so I didn't think I had a future in it. So, but I loved it. So he asked me if I could do this. And the interesting thing about it was that, it wasn't screenwriting. And, I'd worked so hard to be like a working screenwriter, and I had been for a handful of years up until the strike, and was after the strike. But like there was less stuff going on. Mm-hmm. The studios were, I think, punishing the writers to a degree by having less things in development. And so...
And a lot of reality stuff.
And a lot of reality stuff was happening too, which was cheaper. So there was all that going on. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to swallow my pride. I'm going to go in there and get in there and see what happens. And, at that point in time, Disney Toon Studios, from about 2008 on, was managed and overseen by Pixar.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
John Lasseter took a personal interest in that division. He took a struggling Tinkerbell movie and worked with the filmmakers that were already there and rejiggered it to do something more along the lines of what Pixar would do. And so it was, not only was he personally overseeing all of it, like he'd come down, not every single day, but you would have to pitch to him. They would have to pitch the stories to him. He would sign off on everything. He would greenlight everything. He'd have his development people come down, read scripts, go to table reads, and give notes. And I thought that was really interesting. So I show up there, and what had happened is with the Disney Fairies franchise, there was a lot of there were the movies and there were the books. And so I said, I came in, I'm like, okay, well, let me put this on a timeline. And I did this whole thing that had nothing to do with screenwriting, but it had to do with literally, like, I made like a franchise Bible for them.
Wow.
But focused on the content. And I actually had to go into a meeting with John Lasseter and pitch it to him. I had to pitch him my idea of how to tie it all together. I don't know why, but I guess he was interested. So I went in there, and it was all the directors who were working at Disney Toon were there, because that's the kind of meeting it was. Their version of the Pixar Brain Trust, I think they call it the Story Trust, so they wouldn't get confused or something. I don't know. You're like, no,
too many divisions.
You guys don't have enough brains, so you get Story Trust. And so I did this thing, and you never really know, but he seemed to like it. And then after the meeting, they were like, oh, he loved it, and not just that, but it turned out to be like a sort of silent audition to see if I could work there. Because then they liked what I did, and they said, hey, why don't you write these shorts? And then while I was there, I did all this sort of development work. And before I knew it, I was working with the director on the movie that eventually became The Pirate Fairy.
Okay.
So I spent like a year or, almost 2 years, I think, working on stuff for Disney Toon Studios. Now, the interesting thing is, and this leads us to
this
Sophie
is all
and Elena.
Interesting.
I'm just getting the interesting
No,
part.
this is actually, like, I had no idea that this was the route it took you. I'm fascinated.
It was what was most interesting about it, I think, was the fact that after working so hard to get to a certain place in my career, I actually took a bunch of steps backwards in my mind to pursue an opportunity that then turned into something more amazing than anything I had done.
I love that.
And it was really great working at Disney Toon Studios because they were following the Pixar method. I learned it was like going back to film school.
Wow.
I wrote the draft of the movie that became The Pirate Fairy that got them greenlit into production.
Okay.
I wrote the what I would call like the greenlight draft. It's like the draft that gets it going because things get rebooted. So there was a short called The Pixie Hollow Games.
Yeah.
They were having trouble with that when I was there, and so I kind of jumped off of the Tinkerbell feature to go do a draft of that, got them going, and then jumped back.
Interesting.
It was very much like a little studio there, and along the way, I learned a ton.
You know what's so interesting to me about them hiring you for this is that they seem to be kind of, in a lot of people's minds, female-centric stories. Were you surprised that they're like, Craig Gerber, that's the guy? Like...
Well, I think the funny thing is that I wasn't the guy. I wasn't the guy. I was a guy who came in and was doing good work. I had written feature screenplays with strong female roles. And I think when the time came to really get on staff full-time at Disney Toon Studios, it was up to the director who was on the Tinkerbell movie. Her name is Lorna Cook, and she co-directed Spirit, Legend of the Cimarron, which is, the DreamWorks movie, which is fantastic. She's a great director. And she was an animator. She was an animator at Disney. She was an animator for Don Bluth, and she's super talented. And so she had to read one of my samples to see if she wanted to work with me. And she really liked my sample, and we got along. And so she hired me at a point where they weren't really used to bringing on writers to help the director mold the story. For some reason, it used to be the way at Pixar because they were so director driven that they had so many people that were so naturally gifted in the story that I guess they didn't feel the need to bring in writers early on, which seems weird.
A little backward, yeah.
But they figured that out, and so she got me hired. But so there was my writing, but at the same time, this is before they even had a job for me. They liked me, but they didn't have a job until she stepped up and said, "You must hire him." So Meredith Roberts, who was running Disney Toon Studios, said, you know what, you should really meet someone I know, Nancy Cantor. She is in charge of Disney Junior, which had just previously been Playhouse Disney. And I said, okay. And so I went into this sort of general meeting with Nancy, thinking that they were going to ask me to write some Bible for them, because at that point, that's what I was doing.
Sure.
It's not what I wanted to do as a going concern. And when I had this meeting with her, and she said, we've been trying to do a show about young princesses or a young princess, and we've heard a million things and no one's been able to figure it out. So if you ever think of an idea, feel free to come pitch it.
Okay, so I was very curious about that. I was wondering if Disney was looking specifically for something like what Sophia became, or if that was like completely your idea. So they were looking for a young princess for Disney Junior.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, and that kind of marinated in your mind and became Sophia the First.
Well, it was interesting because they were interested in a show about a young princess, and on this side of Sophia, you say, okay, well, I see what they were looking for. They were looking for something like that. But in fact, the sample idea that they sent me as an example of how, because they wanted pitches written, which was, by the way, awesome. I'd never experienced it in my life, right? I got out of film school, and suddenly I'm like, wait a second. I thought I was supposed to be a writer, but most of my job is going into a room and doing sales work.
Yeah.
Like selling my ideas, selling myself. Like if I knew I was going to be Willie Loman, I would have done something else. I wasn't equipped for that.
Yeah.
So they want stuff written. So I said, okay, can you send something over? So I sent something over. One of the things they didn't want to do. And it was kid versions of like the famous princesses learning math.
Okay.
And I was looking at this going, well, I can't do that. Like, I mean, they weren't...
good thing, because that's what they didn't want. That's so interesting. They gave you something they didn't want to say, okay, make us something we will want.
Yeah.
That's really fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, it was like for the format of the pitch. And, I thought to myself, well, I don't do this and I've never done this. I just started watching preschool animation with my young son, who at the time was like, my first son was like 1 at the time, or 2. And I was watching things. It was really hard to find something that I could watch for more than a minute without nodding off myself.
Sure.
I mean, it was really, you could count on one hand, maybe just a few fingers, those shows.
Yeah.
And so I was already thinking, God, it would be great if there was something parents could enjoy with their children. And I'd had this meeting, and I'm like, oh, wow. I guess if I come up with anything, and within, I think it was either within a couple of days, it might have been that day or the next day, I was stuck in traffic, strangely enough, driving by the Disney Animation Building, because that was on my commute home. And the idea for Sophia sprung into my head.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Like, oh, man. And it's, there's a lot of blended families and breaking gender stereotypes and such with Sophia the First. So was that something that was like always something in the back of your mind, or did that just kind of pop in for Sophia, or were you trying to find something to do with topics like that?
I think when I thought of the idea, I felt like you wanted to put a fresh spin on it. That we've seen all the princess movies, especially the Disney princess movies, are so much a part of our culture. And so I wanted to put a spin on those movies, and I wanted to put a spin on what people would expect from a princess character.
Okay.
It was very important to me to create, if I was going to do a princess character, that she would be a self-rescuing princess.
Yeah. That's incredible. And you ended up winning an Emmy for the theme song, right? Like, did you ever in your wild, I'm sure you had the dream, I'm going to win an Emmy. Did you think it's going to be for a princess theme song?
No, of course not. I mean, I never thought I'd be writing, a princess television show or running a show with, featuring a young princess, let alone 2 shows featuring 2 young princesses.
Yeah, of course, Sophia the First is such a hit. It premiered in 2013 that it spins off into Elena of Avalor, which I think is so cool. That like this Disney Junior show, has there been a circumstance like that a Disney Junior show spun off into something else? I've never,
not that I know
I've
of.
never heard of a child show doing that. I can't think of any, but it did in 2016. We get Elena of Avalor, and I'm curious at what point during the Sophia process were you like, "Oh, this has the potential to be its own show"?
Well, one of the great things about Sophia, besides having this show about this young sort of, self-actualized hero character, right? The princess is a hero, was that I could include all types of new princesses. We could go and do different nationalities and background and ethnicities. We were just trying to break as many not rules, but just like try to push as many boundaries as we could.
Sure.
And so at a certain point, we had sort of hinted at, Sophia's mother's kingdom, the kingdom of Galdiz. That was this Spanish-inspired kingdom that we never wound up visiting, but that her mother was from. So, I knew that I wanted to do a Latina princess at some point, and it was just a matter of how we would do it and what she would be.
Okay.
And circumstances came along that took any ideas that I had about doing it and completely, turned it down another course.
Now, as you mentioned, it is hugely inspired by the Latin culture. And what's the research like for that? Do you guys have a consultant that kind of looks through all that stuff for you, or?
Well, we do, but because it's a TV show, the initial researchers are ourselves.
Okay.
I spent when I realized that when I found out that Elena was going to be its own show, coming out of Sophia, I dove into the research myself, and I created this huge, 40-page
another
document.
map,
yeah,
another Bible for you.
Well, it's interesting because we do have a map of the Enchanted World that was done for Sophia and then brought over to Elena.
Wow.
And it has not only all the kingdoms in our show listed, but I actually asked our production designer to map the classic Disney princess kingdoms alongside the other kingdoms, so we knew where they were.
Can this be seen anywhere? No.
It can be seen on my computer.
Oh my goodness. Craig will be sending out a tweet. No, that's crazy. That exists somewhere.
It does.
Oh my goodness.
It does. And one of the great things about the end of Sophia is that the end of Sophia and that final episode allowed me to reveal something that I had figured out along the way. Because what I loved about doing Sophia, with meeting the other princesses and even through Elena being in that world, is I had to think about, when I was doing that, how does this all work? How can they all be in the same universe? And when I figured out the answer to that, I was like, I've got to find a way to get this into the show.
Sure.
And I knew it's the kind of thing where the network would normally be like, well, you don't need that for the story, so do you have to say that? Mm-hmm. Well, when the finale for Sophia came along, the writing of it needed to be done. I was already working on Elena full time, and I kind of said to them, look, I think I should write the finale of Sophia. I'm willing to kind of come back and do it. Come back, I'm down the hall. But
Sure.
it's a lot of time, and I was running a show.
Yeah.
I'm like, so I'm going to do it. I'm sure you're thrilled, but I just need to tell you there are going to be things in there that you will look at and be like, do we really need to do this? Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to tell you right now, the answer is yes.
and you got your way, it sounds like. So,
they were very cool about it.
That's awesome. I am curious about the writing process for a show like this, because, I don't know, is it much different than, say, writing a sitcom or something? Or is it still this team of people with the same amount of time? You've done a lot of writing.
Well, it's fewer people with a shorter amount of time.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay.
Because you get these 26 episode orders, and you're on a schedule.
Which is a lot.
It's a
26
lot, yeah.
is a lot. We're
these days it's
in
insane.
the Netflix world of 8, 10, 13 episodes. 26 is massive.
And when you if you got a 22 episode order from a network
Sure.
or a sitcom, you'd have a staff of 10 to 12 people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have a staff of 4 people. So everyone is on
Wow.
script all the time once you get past the first couple. And so you're breaking stories. You can't run a room the way you normally do. I know on Sophia, I knew that right away. On Elena, my story editor wanted to try to have a room. I said, that's fine. But because there's no hiatus for animation, you just go year round. Mm-hmm. It's one thing in live action to work from 10 a.m. till midnight or 1 a.m. or later for 9 months a year, because then you get the 3 months break or whatever it is. But year round, you can't keep people, you got to give people a real lifestyle.
Sure.
And so in order to leave by 7, you can't run a writer's room all day. So we would assemble it as needed. And, I to go back up to answer your question about the research, we did have consultants on Elena who helped us out immeasurably, mm-hmm. would give us ideas or read over our ideas. So I want to act like we didn't have any consultants. We had very good consultants.
Yeah. You're writing these scripts pretty much year round, so are they finished? Is the season finished being written by the time you start recording? Or no, you're still going?
No, you're going. Yeah.
Wow.
It's when I first started working on Sophia, I got the job, I'd never been a head writer before on a show. So they had me meet with one of their head writers. I sat in his office and I looked at this chart on the wall that was very colorful. And I said, "Oh, what's that?" He said, "Oh, that's the schedule." And it's just this.
Was it all index cards?
No, the schedule are all these lines, and each line's an episode, and just every other week there's a new one, and it just goes. And so everything's overlapping. So when you're in the middle of the season, we have 10 to 12 stories that are somewhere between being broken and locked. Yeah.
Wow.
And then the shows come in after that. So
wow. And you mentioned you're like in the sweet spot of you're in between two things.
Yeah.
And so you're like really, so thank you for coming over here to talk, because you're like, I need my time off, please. Oh, goodness. I am kind of curious when it comes to a Disney Junior show, there's got to be some rules in place from Disney that are like, okay, it needs to be this, it needs to be educational. And this. So what are some of the rules that they put in place for you, or something you just have to think about when you're writing these episodes?
Yeah, I mean, there's a standards and practices division, and they weigh in on things. I think the general rule for Disney Junior is that they don't want too many things that the primary audience will not get. Mm-hmm. Now, one of the things that I did to make it appeal to the parents is that I'm going to put in some things that are jokes for the parents.
Sure.
And they're not controversial. They're just, the kids might not get it, but the parents will, and that'll keep them entertained. And they were happy to do that a couple of times this show.
Okay.
But they want things to be clear. Now, here's the thing that I brought, like, because what I've tried to do is not condescend to the audience, to not talk down to them. Like, kids really understand a lot. And what they don't understand, they're intrigued about. Mm-hmm. So, if you have a show where the kid understands everything, they get bored very easily. Mm-hmm. I watch it with my sons, where they'll watch something again and again because they don't. I feel like they're challenged a little bit. Mm-hmm. So, but what does keep a child interested, and what you absolutely need, is you need them to be sort of emotionally pulled into the story. So if they understand the main thrust of what the story is, mm-hmm. then you can do a lot of other things for different ages and different people. They do it in features all the time. I don't know if they ever think through that's what they're doing. But if you look at something like Frozen, like the youngest viewer of Frozen is into the movie because they understand that there are two sisters that can't be together, mm-hmm. and they want to be together, and that's emotionally engaging. Those young viewers have no idea what it means to want to marry someone the day you meet them, and why that might be bad.
Sure.
Like love it, like that whole argument that takes up 40 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
Goes right over their heads, but it doesn't matter because they know the two girls want to be together and they're arguing about this thing.
Yeah.
And so you just keep that in mind, that when we're making a show, you want the core idea to be very clear.
Yeah, that's really smart. I love that you thought that through, and I guess that's what sets. You're right. I mean, because who's choosing the TV channel, right? The parents.
Correct.
So
that's right.
So whenever I feel like every, my brother has young kids, and it's always, I actually can sit through this one. We're putting on this show. You know what I mean? And you have sons? All three are boys?
All three boys.
Do they watch Sophia and Elena?
Every episode.
Wow. And at what point did they realize this is Dad's? They created these characters.
I don't know what point, but I know whatever that point was, they then wanted to do voices in the show.
Oh, have they done voices?
They have.
That's awesome.
A little bit.
That's awesome. Yeah. Now, of course, with anything that's successful at Disney, it branches off into many different things. One of them is merchandising. So you've also written Sophia the First books. How different, that's got to be a drastically different writing process, yes?
It is. It was really fun. There's a lot of things I got to do along the way that I never thought I'd get to do, right? So I was in college, I was like a radio DJ.
Oh, cool.
I love music, it's my big hobby. I always thought, God, I wish I had musical talent so I could be a musician or a music producer.
And now you have an Emmy for a song.
Yeah, it was no, seriously, of all the things to get an Emmy for, it's almost fitting because it really has been one of my life's passions is to do music. And so we go in and record with live musicians, which we're lucky enough to do because of the Disney TVA music department.
Yeah.
Fighting for that. I'm sitting in there at Capitol Studios going, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm basically sitting in making decisions about music. This is something I always kind of dreamed of. So that was fun. And then writing was also another thing. When I was 10, 9, I was trying to write science fiction stories and stuff. Wow. And so, but I was but then I got into film and I didn't really think about writing books. And so then I get this opportunity because of Sophia to write a book. And it's a small book, but it was incredibly fun. So it's different because you have to lay it out. But here's the thing, in order to get Sophia greenlit, mm-hmm. I had to write a storybook version of the first movie for parents to read to their children.
And that was kind of the test?
Yeah, that was the test.
So wait a sec. You wrote a children's book that wasn't published.
Correct.
Given to a random test group. They read the book to their children, and then somebody at Disney asks the children, what did you think of it?
That's exactly correct.
That is unbelievable. That blows my mind. Yeah. I'm assuming you didn't have to do that for Elena.
We did actually have to do that for Elena.
Is that the typical process?
That has been the process. They've changed it a little bit lately, I think, for more recent shows. They felt like, asking a kid to read a book in order to decide on what television show they would watch is a little like asking them to, eat an apple to see if they like an orange.
Yeah.
A little bit.
But that's fascinating.
That was the process back then.
Wow. My mind is blown with that. Well, okay, so you have a successful shows. That obviously means they're going to head to the theme parks as well. Sophia is there doing meet and greets, part of the Disney Junior Dance Party. Elena of Avalor has an induction ceremony, has a meet and greet with Cinderella, has a musical grand arrival show over at Disney California Adventure. It's crazy. I'm curious, do you have any sort of approval when it comes to anything going in the theme parks? Do they not even approval? Do they come to you for suggestions or anything?
Sometimes, surprisingly, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they have been great, especially on Elena, about consulting with us on a wide range of things that you wouldn't think they would. I know that when they were talking about putting her in the parks and she needed a warm weather cape.
Okay.
That they ran it by us. And we may have even had our character designer do a draw-over. I remember when they were doing the costume designs, and I can't remember whether this was Sophia or Elena, because it's all been a blur.
Sure.
We went down to their costume designer in Anaheim,
wow.
the park's costume designer, to see what she was cooking up.
Wow.
So it's amazing. It's one of the kind of really neat things about Disney, just overall being there, is that yes, it's a big conglomerate, and yes, they have the parks and the stores, but the network, when I got there, they were fully driven by the story. What's the best story we could tell?
That's awesome.
And then when that story goes out to the other divisions, they get inspired by the story, and that's what we heard from all the folks that we talked to at different parts, especially both Sophia and Elena. Like, this is just, we love this character, we love this story, and what can we do? Are we doing it right?
Yeah. That's awesome. So you went down to Anaheim to the costume shop. Yeah. Were you walking through a bunch of costumes?
Yes.
Okay. What one did you see that caught your eye that you were just like, oh, so cool?
I got to be honest with you. I mean, they weren't all finished costumes.
Okay.
It was like a garment. It was like being in a
seamstress shop.
Yeah, it was just, there was fabric everywhere.
Okay.
And I just remember sitting here with you that we even did it.
That's so funny.
I mean, I'm sure I saw something that was super cool, but I can't remember. And there was certainly nothing where it was like, oh, well, this is going to be in the park. And no one's seen it yet.
Yeah. That's so cool, though. Yeah. That is wild. I just love that. And, when you see these characters, I'm sure you've seen the characters in the parks. The first time you saw either Sophia and or Elena, what goes through your mind? I mean, that's got to be surreal.
It's surreal, and it's pretty darn wonderful. I have to say, you make these shows, and we're in a little segment of the overall entertainment industry, right? Mm-hmm. So, people that adults don't talk about these shows unless they're at their preschool children's parties.
Sure.
So you don't really see the impact that the show has until you see children interacting with the characters sometimes in the park.
Yeah.
And it's great to see how it affects the audience, right? We make the show. One of the things that guided me through creating Sophia's character and both Elena's character is, providing a good role model for young girls and young boys to see, women, ruling in Elena's case, or just sort of, kicking butt in Sophia's case, and really sort of showing a good way to be, because it's not just always about beating the bad guy. It's also about being a good person, and we try to have a good theme in each one. So then you get out there in the world and you see, first of all, just seeing a character in the park is the most amazing thing ever. Because you're like, oh my God, that's my character. There she is.
Tell me what's better, though, seeing your character in the park or seeing a little kid in the park dressed as your character?
Oh, the little kid dresses
Really?
the character. Yeah.
Mind-blowing, right?
Yeah,
or on
the best.
Halloween, you got
That's the
kids
best.
trick-or-treating at your house, and oh my goodness, Sophia is it like...
They always get the most candy. They get anything they want. Give it to them, be like, take it all. It's all yours.
That's fantastic. I love that. Now, you just recently, actually, I don't think it was that recent, you got an overall deal with Disney, so you're still there working on maybe live-action series? Is that the future for you, hopefully?
I mean, there's that component of it, and that's exciting, because that's what I came from. I came from
Sure.
live action features, so to do something in that world would be intriguing to me. But I love animation, and so first and foremost, I'm cooking up new animated ideas
For Disney Junior, or you're trying
for
to...
Disney Junior.
Okay, cool.
And then there's a component where I might do it for older audiences as well. And then there's the live action. So what's really great is it's just they gave me a home to like really try to do different things, and I couldn't be happier to stay there.
So do you have an office over on the main studio lot, or?
I do not.
Okay.
I'm still in the same office I've been in for most of Sophia and Elena. Well, on the same building anyway.
Where's that? Is that Glendale, or?
No, we're actually in like some unmarked building near the Burbank Airport.
Oh, Tahunga.
No, not that building. A different unmarked building.
Wow, they're all over the place. It's crazy.
Well, but it's great though, because we just like a production. It's like a lot of animated productions are in the building.
Yeah.
So and it's just you just go there and you get the work done.
That's
And so
awesome.
I'll just that's my base of operations, and I can write pretty much wherever. I mean, sometimes I'm writing in Starbucks. So,
Yeah. Before we get going, why don't you plug yourself on social media and stuff? Where can people follow you?
Oh my gosh, no one's ever asked me that.
Really?
Before. Ever.
Well, you're on social media.
I am. I feel like I'm in my own, like the show. I'm in my own little corner of the world.
Do you not want people to know?
No, I absolutely do.
Okay,
no,
so
absolutely.
how can they follow you?
On Twitter, it's @CraigGerber_.
Okay.
And on Instagram, it's @Craig S. Gerber.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was a lot of fun, a lot of great, shocking, surprising information. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you all enjoyed and learned something new from my interview with Craig Gerber, but now let's jump into my interview with Jillian Rose Reed, who in addition to working on Elena of Avalor is also a big Disneyland fan. Jillian, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, you are on the show Elena of Avalor, but before we get to that, I need to mention you grew up in Hollywood, Florida?
I was born in Hollywood, Florida,
Okay.
lived there until I was a toddler, and
Okay.
then moved to Michigan.
Okay, I was going to say, does that mean you were going to like Walt Disney World all the time? But no, you were too young.
I did go to Walt Disney World once, but I was like 7.
So
I have to go back.
That's the last time you were there? Well, you must go to
Yes.
Disneyland quite a
I go to
bit.
Disneyland all the time.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Annual pass holder?
I was, and it ran out, and I didn't renew because
Because of the insanity that's
well,
going
but also one of the perks of being on the Disney show is I get some tickets every once in a while.
Nice.
So.
So you're a voice actor on one of their shows. Are you a cast member? It's weird because I've seen like Jodie Benson, the voice of Ariel, like show her cast member ID.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, that's really weird because most voice artists are just like contract for a specific project,
Right.
and therefore not a cast member.
Right. So I don't have like a cast member badge or anything, but
Okay.
last time I actually went to the park, they referred to me as a cast member.
Interesting.
So I don't know where like they draw the line with that.
Huh. That's
I would like, if Disney's listening, please give me a badge.
Yeah, give her a badge. I'm just curious, did you have a favorite princess growing up?
Yeah, Belle.
Belle.
Belle was my favorite. I felt like I looked the most like her.
I was just going to say, I'm like, I could totally see you playing Belle.
Yeah, yeah.
Like-
But see, then when I had red hair, when I was on my TV show Awkward, everyone was like, oh, well, now you're Ariel. So
Honestly, those are the two best.
they are the two best. But
I
I'm
love
always
it.
always have been a Belle girl. I actually have a funny story about that.
I love funny stories.
So I went to Disneyland
Uh-huh.
and I waited in line to get a picture with Belle for about an hour, maybe an hour 15.
Wow.
When it was my turn, she took her lunch break and I was like, please, Belle, can I just get a really quick picture? And she was like, I'm sorry, sweetheart. I have to go away now, but I'll be back later. And I was so, by the way, I was like 23.
I was gonna say, how old?
I was 23, 24 maybe, but my mom cried.
Oh, no.
She was like, I'm so sad for you. I was like, I'm going to be okay. But like, it's just a real bummer. We wasted an hour.
Well, so, I mean, she was going to come back in like, what, 15 minutes or something?
I don't know.
Or you're
I
just
didn't
like,
wait.
I'm done at this
didn't
point.
wait.
I very rarely wait for characters, but recently I went to Walt Disney World and they have this thing at Disney's Animal Kingdom right now called Donald's Dino Bash.
Oh.
So the story is that Donald has discovered that, birds are dinosaurs, and therefore him and, Scrooge McDuck and a lot of the bird characters are there celebrating. And for some reason, they put Chip and Dale there.
Oh,
but
random.
Because they're not birds, they put them in like basically dinosaur onesies. Like it looks like they're in PJs. It's the cute. In fact, you can see it.
Cute.
If you look straight back there at the calendar on the wall.
How cute.
So cute. And like I waited for that photo. I was like, this one I will wait for.
They were my first autograph when I went to Walt Disney World when I was a kid. I bought the little blank autograph book, and they were my first autographs.
I love that. They I feel like the autograph books were fairly new when I was a kid, or maybe I was just unaware of them.
Yeah, maybe.
But I remember like that becoming a thing, and like I was really into it. I wonder if I still have mine somewhere. I feel like
I definitely do. It's in like storage at my mom's house, but I for sure have mine.
I feel like that should be a special class. I know they don't want to teach people this, but you know how like all of the characters have such a specific autograph.
Yeah.
It would be kind of fun if that was like some sort of special event ticket you could buy. We're gonna, how they have the Animation Academy.
Yeah.
It would be cool if they're like the Autograph Academy.
That would be cool.
That would never do it, but I think.
By the way, I love the Animation Academy, and I feel like it's so underrated, and people don't know about it.
Do you have well, tell folks about it if you feel like they don't.
So I only did it once because I didn't know about it for years and years and years. And then my best friend, who is Disney obsessed, we went last year for her birthday. And she was like, I love Disneyland. I love going on the rides and stuff, but I love even more all of like the shows and the stuff that I normally didn't do. I would go for the rides.
I'm like your friend.
Yeah. See, I was never like that. So she was like, I have to take you to the Animation Academy. So we went, and so it's in... Oh gosh, it's
the whole animation. Well, what do they call it? The animator something.
It's like this big.
It's in Disney California Adventure in Hollywoodland on the right side. It's the animation something.
It's animation something, but it's kind of hidden.
Yeah.
And I felt like you walked through like a store and then like a hallway.
Oh, you could go that way.
Yeah, that's how I went through.
You went through off the page.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
And then all of a sudden it opened up into this big room with all of like the screens playing, and Frozen was playing when I walked in, and I was like, oh, this is magical. I could have sat there forever.
Well, interesting you say that, because I have said for a very long time, I actually think that space should be turned into a restaurant.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Like, or at least something like that should be created as a restaurant. I think that would be great, because that is a cool place to just go and chill. In there, they have Turtle Talk with Crush.
Yeah.
And then they have the Animation Academy.
Yep.
And then, like, underground, they have this little zoetrope room, and then the Beast's Library. And then they used to have Ursula's Grotto, I think they called it. Oh. And where you could, it's been closed off for a long time because it's on in Elsa's dressing room now. Since, and Elsa do their meet and greets in there.
Yeah.
Hopefully that'll reopen sometime soon, but with the sequel coming out.
It's never gonna happen. No.
I don't know if that's gonna happen. But I love that you love the Animation Academy.
It was so fun.
What character did you draw?
Baymax.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah, it's a nice, easy one. He's very plump.
Yeah, you've got to go back there.
I do.
It's so much fun. I always, you can save your drawing at the end.
Yeah.
I always just snap a photo. I'm like, I don't want to carry this around all day.
That's exactly what I did. I was like, I can't. I'm just going to toss it away at some point. So, yeah, I did take a picture of it, though.
How did your Baymax turn out?
Not great.
Not great?
Not great. My friends, excellent. Mine, not so good. I have a problem drawing stick figures, so I didn't have high hopes.
Well, it's a fun thing regardless, whether you're a good drawer or not. That's awesome. I love that you love the park so much.
Yeah.
And before we get to Elena, I gotta mention you were on one of my favorite Disney ABC shows. You did an episode of The Middle.
The Middle, yeah.
Oh my! Which episode were you on?
This was season. Oh my gosh, this was at least 7 years ago.
Okay.
And I played kind of a mean girl, actually.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, which was kind of my first run at playing the mean girl.
Did you love it?
It was so much fun.
Isn't
it was
the
so
villain thing fun?
Yes, but basically I was like having a sleepover and didn't want to invite Sue. And her dad overheard us talking about it in the movie theater and like got super into it and, kind of tried to like spoil my plan. It was such a fun show. It was such a fun set to be on, and the cast was just amazing. And I forget that I did it sometimes because it was so long ago. And then every once in a while, someone will be like, oh, I saw your episode of The Middle. And I'm like,
because it reruns like crazy.
It does rerun like crazy.
And then you're like, yay, residuals.
Yeah, exactly. You know, those like 20-cent residuals, They take me really far.
Did you work with Eden Sher? Is it Sher or Cher?
Cher. Yeah, I did. Yes.
I love her.
She's incredible. And we also share a lot of mutual friends. So I run into her every once in a while. Last time I ran into her actually was at our dentist's office.
That's so funny.
She was getting her wisdom teeth out.
Oh, poor girl.
I know.
I know they shot the pilot for a Sue Hex spinoff.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going
I have
anywhere.
not heard anything about it.
It was, here's the thing. I loved The Middle.
Yeah.
And frankly, that was the character that like I loved and I always wanted to tune in for. But I was just like, I don't know if a spinoff, it's too soon, it feels like. Like, it had literally just ended.
It worked for Blackish, though.
It did. It
so
did.
You never know.
You never know, but I that's such a great show. So when I saw that you did an episode of that, I was like, that's awesome.
That was fun. That was, I did that job when I first met my boyfriend, who is from Florida. And so it was my first, like, impressive thing I had. Like, oh, you want to watch me on this TV show? Cool.
I love it. That's now you just need to like keep the DVD on the shelf and
Yeah,
like, pull it out every once in a while. Yeah,
remember we met?
That's fun. Well, then of course there's Elena of Avalor, which you've been working on for several years. It launched in 2016 on Disney Channel and Disney Junior. But for folks who have never heard of it, why don't you give a little pitch of what Elena of Avalor is?
So Elena is actually Disney's first Latina princess, which was huge for the network, huge for the fans alike. And basically the show revolves around Elena, who has been freed from an amulet that Sophia the First has worn around her neck for years. And she was put into this amulet by an evil sorceress. So she's freed, and now she has the task, because her parents have been killed by this evil sorceress, she now has the task of being the princess and kind of running the country with the council up until she turns 18 and can become queen.
Very nice.
Yes.
And I love that it's a spinoff of Sophia the First.
Yeah.
And that's kind of odd. That show's so huge.
It's huge, yep.
And then, so you mentioned it was the first Latina Disney princess. And I'm curious, like, when this first started, was that like a big conversation they had with cast? And was there, I don't know, did they ever like sit down with you guys and kind of say, this is what we're trying to do? We're trying to create awareness and such?
Not with me specifically. I'm the only white girl on the show. So, so I don't know, that was probably a conversation with some of the other cast members. I can't imagine why it wouldn't be, because it was a really, really big deal for the network, especially for all the little girls who didn't have a princess to look up to that looked like them, you know? So it was a really, really big deal for the network. And I just feel super lucky to be a part of such a monumental part of Disney's history, because when you think about Disney as a whole, I mean, it's so huge.
It's especially now.
It's the biggest ever. And so to say that I got to be like a little slice of importance for them is really cool.
That's awesome. And you play Naomi.
Yes.
The best friend.
The best friend.
And tell us a little bit about Naomi.
So Naomi is your girl from the port. She works the docks and she can, you know, run her own ship, and she does all of the hard work, which is why Elena brought her onto the Grand Council, because she kind of had the knowledge of the commoner, which is what Elena needed on her council, which was full of people who had been, you know, in the royal palace for years and years. And so she didn't really have a voice of the people. And Naomi's also super strong, like physically and mentally, because of her work. So it was kind of like a different person to throw into the mix, get a different perspective. And Naomi often handles the problems.
I love it. And now this was, before this, you were doing a lot of on-camera shows like Awkward on MTV, but was voiceover something that always kind of interested you? Or?
Yeah, I did a little bit of it when I was younger, just commercially. I did like a PlayStation commercial, like a few random things when I was younger. It was always something I wanted to do, but when I was on Awkward, I kind of took a step back from almost everything else because I was so busy and consumed for 6 years.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until we found out that Awkward was ending that my management team was like, why don't we start getting you back into voiceovers just to see if we can land anything. And I booked Elena of Avalor the week that we were filming our last episode of Awkward.
Wow. So was there a long audition, or had you auditioned for a bunch of voiceover stuff, or was it kind of like that that one just hit?
I had been auditioning probably for like a month or two.
That is nothing
It's
for those of you
nothing.
listening.
It's absolutely nothing. And it is still like beyond my wildest dreams that I even booked it.
Wow.
Because what usually happens is I will get an audition sent to me and I'll go into my agency to record it. They have a sound booth, they can make sure everything's perfect.
Yeah.
But I was filming, so I didn't have the luxury of time. So they sent me this audition and I was like, okay, I'm on set until like 10 or 11 p.m. tonight. I'm going to go home, record it on my phone and send it in and, just whatever.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's like when you're doing voiceovers, you get so many of them that like you kind of just have to pop them out. And in the back of your head that if you're the right sound, that's what they want.
Yeah.
So you kind of just have to do them and like let them go and not really think about them. So I recorded it on my phone. I sent it in and I forgot about it. Mm-hmm. And weeks later, I got a call from my manager that I booked it. And I was like, booked what? She was like, Elena of Avalor. And I said, what's that? I did not remember what it was. I had to go back into my computer and find the file. And when I listened back to it, I was like, this is horrible. Why did I get this? This is really bad. But they liked the sound of my voice.
That's so funny. Yeah, it is crazy. Like voiceover people get tons and tons of auditions,
Yeah.
and you can't become attached to any
You
of them.
literally can't.
And honestly, you get 2 pages if you're lucky most of the time. So when they said
Sometimes
Elena,
it's 4 lines.
yeah. So when they say Elena of Avalor, you're like, great. I know what 4 lines of that show's about. I have no idea otherwise.
I had no idea. And my audition scene, I can't remember if it was from the pilot or one of the like following episodes, but it was just a scene where Elena and Naomi were flying on the Jackwinds.
Okay.
And I just kind of was like loud and like calling out lines. So there was not even really any meat to the scene. And they also did not ask me if I could sing.
Really?
They did. They said like, can you sing? And I said yes, but I did not have to
Okay.
prove it.
There's a story about that with, oh God, I'm going to blank. Is it Scott Weininger? Is that how you say it? The guy who's the voice of Aladdin. He's on Full House.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think that's his name. Weinger? Scott. Whatever.
Scott.
So he's the voice of Aladdin
Okay.
and has been since the beginning. And from the stories I've heard, they actually asked him, can you sing? He's like, yeah. And then
no.
he couldn't sing. He could kind of carry a tune, and then they brought somebody else in.
Yeah, I think that's
sing the
what they
role.
just assume. Like if you say yes and then you get there on the day and you're terrible, they'll just kind of replace your voice. But luckily, I stayed strong. I've been singing the whole time.
I find that happens less and less now, which I actually really like. I don't like I'm always impressed when you can match the voice really well. Like one of the best, I think, is Hunchback of Notre Dame with Esmeralda.
Yeah.
It's Demi Moore doing the
Yeah.
speaking voice and then a different singer. And I'm like, you'd never know the difference. Like, it's really good when they can get it right. But I always am like, get somebody who can do both. There's so many people out there.
Oh, yeah,
that can do
absolutely.
both.
Absolutely.
So that's really funny, though.
Yeah, it was just kind of like a weird like fluke thing. And when I got there on the first day, they were like, do you want us to play your audition back for you so you can hear what you did? And I was like, no, thanks. I know what I did. I'm going to do it better, actually.
So let's hear the dirt. Is there anybody whose singing voice they did have to replace?
No, actually. Everybody, I'm pretty sure everybody sings.
So everybody told the truth.
Everybody told the truth. I think the only person that they auditioned with singing was Amy, who plays Elena.
Okay.
She did have to, because she sings in every single episode.
Now, does the cast ever get to record together? I know that that's really not typical anymore, sadly.
No, we don't.
No.
I recorded with Amy once, and it was just because I got to my session early and she was finishing up. And we just so happened to it was when we were doing one of our movies, and we had like a really sweet scene together where she's kind of like explaining everything that happened to her in her life. And we recorded that together. But that was the only time I've ever recorded with anybody else.
That's so sad.
I know.
That makes me so sad.
I know. But, it's hard.
It's scheduling, yeah.
It's scheduling and also like being in the room with everybody at once. You have to get so many takes of each of your lines.
Yeah.
It's hard when you have more than one person in the booth. It would take forever.
I do feel like, though, if the group were together, you'd have to get less takes because you'd be able to work off each other.
That's true.
I think it's just a scheduling thing.
It's a scheduling thing.
which
And
is
we also
unfortunate.
have a few cast members who live in New York. And so,
okay.
It's all over the place.
Yeah. That's too bad. One of these days. But you finished recording season 3?
Yes, we just wrapped season 3. So I'm pretty sure we're still airing season 2. It's so confusing when you're on the inside because it takes a year from developing the script to actually seeing it on air for one episode.
Because nothing's animated when you guys are recording.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So it takes a full year. So it's like, okay, we're finishing up season 3, but we're still like mid-season 2 that's airing, and like they're still repeating season 1. So I'm always all over the place with what's going on.
Yeah. You're like, oh, can I talk about this?
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
Do the folks know this yet?
Or like I sit down to talk to someone like you, and you're like, I'm that one episode. I'm like, don't remember it because I recorded it 2 years ago.
Exactly. Well, you know what's so funny is like kids especially, if they find out you're doing a show like that and they start talking, kids have seen these episodes 10, 15, 20 times.
Yes.
Like it's crazy.
Yep.
I'll just even think back to like my childhood. One of the things I've watched over and over and over again was Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Aww.
And you love it too?
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, the whole franchise.
Yes. Okay, so Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, phenomenal. Honey, I Blew Up the Kid, wonderful.
Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. That was one of my personal faves.
Loved it. Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves.
I liked that one, actually.
Direct to video. It was all right. You know what bothers me the most about that one, and this is so weird, is so the first 2 films have an animated opening credits. Mm-hmm. And the third one doesn't.
Oh,
and it
man.
bothers me so much. Plus, it's a different mom.
Yes,
a different actress,
I do remember
which
that.
Which bothers me, and I don't know if Marcia? Oh, I feel
You're so good with names, though.
No, well, I keep forgetting them, though.
Yeah,
Like,
but you at least have like one name.
She passed away, so I don't know if she hadn't at the time, but I don't know if she was sick at the time or something.
That's sad.
But I was so sad when that came out. I'm like, really? It's like the only character that's like not the same. The rest are either new characters or returning. And
Yeah.
Oh, it was a bummer. I worry way too much about Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
I love that. It keeps you up at night. Opening credit.
It's mentioned probably at least half of the Disney Coast to Coast episodes, so people listening that listen regularly are like, oh, here we go again.
Here we go.
But your reaction to it was wonderful.
I really loved those movies growing up. I really did.
Did you
I
ever
can remember the DVD covers?
I actually recently bought the VHS
Did
again.
you really?
Because I had the DVD and I had the Blu-ray. And like VHS is kind of becoming, well, it's cool.
It's
like
vintage
And I'm not
now.
going to lie, like I have a VCR in my closet that like I'll hook up to. Oh yeah. Because there were some titles, just random things, like documentaries and stuff that didn't transfer to DVD.
Yeah.
And I had the VHS and I'm like, well, I'm going to want to keep these.
I did recently, in the last couple of years, buy the VHS to Spice World.
Oh my
Spice Girls
goodness.
movie.
Nice.
Just because I always wanted to have it, you know? You need to hold on.
Yeah, the VHS is cool. So in any case, I now have on the shelf Honey, I Shrunk the Kids on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray.
Incredible.
So it's very important. Anyway, what a tangent. I love tangents like that. But what were we going to... Oh, Elena of Avalor, of course, Emmy Award for Outstanding Casting for an Animated Series. Mm-hmm. You're part of that. How wonderful.
I mean, that feels really good.
Yeah. And then a Media Trailblazer Award at the 14th Annual Girl Power Awards.
Yes.
So this show has gotten some serious recognition just in, as I said, 2016 it came out. It's only been a few years.
Yeah, you know, I think part of the reason why it got so much recognition, especially like when you talk about girl power, is every Disney princess you've ever seen has had a prince or has been going for a prince or had a prince chasing her, and Elena's never had a love interest.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they wanted to keep it that way so that we could really show girls like you're not just about who loves you or who you are in love with. Like you're strong on your own, and I think that was a really cool aspect of the show.
Yeah, and Craig Gerber created both Sophia and Elena of Avalor.
Yes.
It's kind of cool that it was a guy that did it.
Oh, and he's awesome.
Yeah, we did a panel at SAG-AFTRA, and he was there, and I was like, it's very cool, like how into this Craig is.
Yeah.
You know, I loved that.
Yeah.
So it's very cool. Now, Elena, of course, has hit the parks.
Yes.
As well. Have you seen anything Elena of Avalor in the parks?
I have seen Elena in
Okay.
the park herself. And it's so funny because, you know, when you are a person hired to be one of the princesses in the parks, you have to be on all the time. Like they're very strategic about it. So I remember going up to the Elena once and being like, oh my gosh, I play Naomi. And she's like, oh, I love Naomi. Naomi's my best friend. And I'm like, no, but I'm telling you, like, I'm the voice. And she was like, Naomi's so great. And I was like, your dress is so cool. Your dress looks so good. And she's like, thanks, my abuela made it. And I was like, okay, she can't talk to me. She's literally like not allowed to talk to me like she's a regular person.
Yeah.
She's just Elena.
Yep. They are trained well to do
Yeah,
that.
they are so disciplined. It's great.
They've done some pretty major stuff with the character in the parks, actually. At Magic Kingdom, they had Elena of Avalor Royal Induction Ceremony. So, like, on the stage in front of Cinderella Castle, they had a major, like, show.
I'm a little upset that I wasn't invited to that, but whatever.
Yeah, next time, Disney fly
Come
around.
on, guys.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's a major thing for her to
Yeah.
take over the castle stage for an induction ceremony. And now, at Walt Disney World, you can meet her along with Cinderella in Princess Fairy Tale Hall. And I just think that's really interesting. So if you're going to have a couple of princesses to meet and greet with, like you have classic Cinderella, whose castle, whose kingdom it is,
Yeah.
a Magic Kingdom, and not another movie princess, but instead Elena of Avalor. So that's pretty major and crazy.
She kind of took over.
Yeah, and then there's the Elena of Avalor musical Grand Arrival show at Disney California Adventure. Did you ever see that?
No, I did not even know that existed.
Okay, so this comes around Christmas. I don't know why they do it at Christmas, but it's like part of Viva Navidad that they do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And she comes out in a float and such, and you need to check it out. My guess is it'll probably be back this holiday season.
I'm sure it will. Yeah,
So-
I need to go around. I didn't go to California Adventure this Christmas. I did go to Disney, but
Okay,
I need to make it over there.
You got to check it out. Curious, have you ever recorded Naomi's voice for anything in the parks that you know of?
No, just the show.
Oh man,
Yep, just
no
the
toys
show.
or anything?
We do have toys, but my character doesn't. I don't think I have a speaking toy. I think I just have the little, like little teeny dolls, little plastic.
Do you
dolls.
have them?
I don't, but my niece does.
That's the best.
Yeah,
like
it's the
that's
best.
even cooler.
Yep. And you know what's really funny is I have a friend who has two little ones, and they were in like Target or something. And she sent me this video, and she was like walking down one of the aisles, and she's like, I'm just walking down the aisles, and all of a sudden there was a Naomi at her feet. Someone had like dropped their toy or taken it out of the packaging or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, will you pick me up, please? She was like, yes, I put you away safely.
That's so
like,
funny.
thank you.
I love that. That's adorable. But yeah, it's really cool that Elena has made such an impression on the parks as well. I love
Yes.
that. I do want to talk a minute about your blog because you
Yeah.
blog pretty regularly.
I do.
How did this start, and what prompted it for you?
So it was really last fall that I started thinking about doing it, and it just started as a way for me to like get more information to my followers because I would get DMs all the time, questions about like my makeup routine or my hair routine or anything under the sun. And I felt like it was a little difficult to respond to each message, or I just felt like I wasn't doing anyone justice by just telling one person this one thing they want to know. So I started toying with the idea, and I really wanted to launch it in the new year so that would have been January 2018. So I spent like 2 months just really, really learning about. I had no idea how to build a website or anything. I just learned it all on my own and plugged away for a couple of months and launched it January 5th, 2018. So we just obviously hit our 1 year, and it's kind of gone from like lifestyle. I still do like the beauty and the hair and all that stuff, but now I kind of focus on mental health and relationships. For some of my older followers who, want that kind of information as well. So it's kind of taken a turn, but it's been so fun.
And let folks know the web address is
JillianRoseReed.net.
There we go. So
because
check.
somebodystole.com.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Is it a fan thing?
I have no, there's nothing
Oh,
there.
there's nothing. That's the worst. When
Right?
people just buy it because you know what that is. They want you
They
to
want
pay
you to pay
them
for it, but I don't even know how to contact them. It's the worst.
Oh, yeah, that always stinks. It's one thing if they're doing something with it.
Yeah, I know.
But, man,
I know.
JillianRoseReed.com, come on.
Come on,
They're probably
guys.
listening to this.
They probably are.
Go to her blog and message her and just be reasonable.
Yeah, come on.
Be reasonable. Anyway, you do talk about style quite a bit on there, so I'm
Yes.
curious. Are you familiar with Dapper Day at the parks?
Oh, is that where you can dress up?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I haven't done it though.
You haven't done it? You should totally do that.
I should. I've always wanted to dress up, but I have always gotten scared because if you dress up on a normal day, they won't let you in, right?
Well, if you dress up in costume on a normal day, they
Right.
won't let you in. That's how kind of like Disney bounding became a thing.
Yeah.
So, and Dapper Day is very much like you're not dressing up as a character, you're dressing up. It's kind of become. I'm not like the aficionado on this, so people may yell at me when I say this, but it started where it was more like just dress dapper, like kind of 1950s style, like
that.
opening day Disneyland type thing. And through the years, it's kind of become a Disney bound as well.
Okay.
And people will be inspired by characters,
Yeah.
but you're never dressing up as a character. So even if you went Disney bounding on a normal day, they're not going to stop you because
No,
it's not
right.
like you're dressed up as Tinkerbell.
Right,
You're just wearing a lot of green. and
Yeah,
maybe,
you just have the colors.
Yeah. So, but you should totally do a whole piece on like that for your blog.
I should do that. That would be
think that
so
would be fun.
fun. I just always go and just get a different pair of ears every time I go.
Do you really?
Yeah, so I have normal ears, and then I have the sparkly ones that were out this Halloween. They're like orange sparkly.
Okay.
I have one with like some ribbons on it that I got for a birthday one time. I've got quite a few pair.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are they on display at home or
No,
anything?
they're all in a box,
They're in a
just
box.
like waiting for when I go again. But then I never take them. I
was
just
gonna
go get
say,
another pair.
You just show up and you're like, oh, I forgot my ears.
Yeah,
I gotta buy
exactly. I
more.
gotta get another one.
So on your blog, I'm going to put you on the spot here. You do
Okay.
a lot of life advice. So if you're going to go to Disneyland Park,
Okay.
what's the best way to attack your day at Disneyland Park? What are the priorities for you?
Okay, well, you've got to get a hotel the night before so that you get the early access.
Very nice.
Because the early park hours really matter. Because here's what you have to do. You have to hit Space Mountain and the Cars Land ride,
Yeah.
Radiator
Radiator
Springs,
Springs.
before the park opens. Because once the park opens, it's like 2-hour waits.
Yeah.
And it's too much. So you got to get the hotel the night before and you got to go straight to those rides the next morning. And then honestly, I would say go when it's raining.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. We've had a lot of rain here recently, and people go, and it's quiet. And the thing so for me, I do enjoy the shows quite a bit, and rain does cause some stuff to get canceled.
True.
They do have something really cool now, though. That it's not new, but it hasn't always been there. The Rainy Day Cavalcade Parade. Have you heard of this?
No.
Okay, so if it's too rainy for like the floats and the dancers and everybody to come out, they'll kind of just take the Main Street vehicles and throw all the characters on them, and they have like this special like rain song.
That's
They just
fun.
It's kind of cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
Last time I was there, I saw, what show did I see? Oh, Mickey's
Mickey and the
Magical Map.
Yeah.
It was incredible. I loved it.
My favorite moment, there are two favorite moments. Actually, they both include princesses. I love the princess medley.
Yes.
And I love Tiana's moment at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
The whole show was great. That was another thing where I was like, this could last for 2 hours and I would be so happy. Which, side note, I didn't realize that the Frozen show was
like 45
an
or an
actual
hour.
show.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
an hour long. I'm like, is there an intermission? I was expecting like 15 minutes. No, it was a Broadway production.
Did you see the Aladdin show that was there before that?
No.
Oh, okay. There's like a even more
I've
spectacular
heard, I had a
Aladdin
friend
show.
who was in that actually.
Yeah.
So but I never got a chance to see it.
People
because
love
that
that
was
show.
back still when I like didn't know that you should go and watch all the shows. I was just trying to get on all the rides.
Yeah, for me, who I stock at the park is the Disneyland Band.
Yeah.
I love the Disneyland Band.
Yeah.
Like, they're one of my favorite things about the park.
I love them too. I also love the soldiers, the Toy Story.
Oh, the Toy Soldiers, yeah.
I like when I find them.
Yeah, you got to go back to Walt Disney World to do Toy Story Land because
I know.
they're always hanging out there.
I know.
That's
I
fun.
need to make a trip.
Yeah. Anyway, are there any current projects or anything you want to let folks know about?
Well, we're wrapping up season 3 of Elena of Avalor, so obviously we will have many, many more episodes to share. But other than that, I'm just working really hard on my blog, and I actually am teaching young actors as well.
Nice.
So I have sort of like a side business.
Here in Burbank? Or where are you doing that?
I teach out of Studio City, so local. Yeah, so I'm teaching actors all the time and just kind of always learning and perfecting my craft and being pretty particular about what I want to do next. After coming off of Awkward, I'm kind of transitioning into like, I was playing a teenager, I was playing high school in Awkward, so now I'm kind of transitioning into wanting to play older roles. So I'm being a little pickier about which roles I want to read for and that kind of stuff. So that's happening at the same time as like my blog and just kind of going from there, going with the flow.
I hear that from a lot of people, the whole I'm done playing high school students.
It's a hard transition, to be
Yeah.
honest. It's difficult.
Well, we were just talking about before we were recording my obsession, and you love as well, Atypical.
Yeah.
And so I've been reading up on Keir Gilchrist.
Yeah.
He's the same thing. He's like, after Atypical, I'm done playing high school.
It's hard.
And I get it. Like, especially since as you get older, you're like, I don't really remember what I
Yeah.
was thinking, and you can't relate to the character as much anymore.
It's interesting, and you want to be. I mean, I'm 27, so it's like, but I look like I'm 19. So
I mean, you can pass for early 20. You don't look like high school, I would say.
you.
So,
Thank you.
you just look young.
Yeah. So, it's, but like Hollywood young is always older than it actually
that's true.
is. So it's like, I'm just kind of being pickier and seeing like, okay, what do I really want to do next? Because ultimately I would love to be on a multicam sitcom like Friends.
Oh, yeah.
That's my goal.
I love that.
So I'm kind of like holding out and waiting for that to come my way.
Oh, I really hope that comes your way.
Thank
that's,
you.
For me, like, that's kind of like the ultimate when it comes to TV as far as
Yes.
just like sanity.
I agree. It's the dream.
Your schedule. And plus, I don't know about you. Are you a theater person at all?
Love theater.
Okay. So, like, the live audience.
Oh, it's amazing. It's no better feeling. And the schedule is incredible.
Yeah, and it's funny because everybody's talking about how, like, the multicam sitcom's going away, and it's not, though.
It's not.
Like, it will fluctuate. Can we just say, Chuck Lorre, thank you so much for keeping it alive?
Yeah,
like, in the past
seriously,
decade with shows like
seriously.
2.5 Men, Big Bang Theory, Mike and Molly, like, he's done so many of of them.
And they're all amazing.
And it's just, I feel like after Everybody Loves Raymond, there was a big kind of standstill for a while, except for the Chuck Lorre shows.
Right.
But they're getting more and more. And
they are.
Even
and,
Netflix
I was
produces
just going to say, being that I'm on the teacher side as well, I get to see a lot of projects that I wouldn't normally be auditioning for.
Yeah.
And Netflix they're rolling out quite a few multicams.
Yeah.
So that's exciting for me.
Great. Yay. I hope you get one of those.
Oh, thank you.
Well, let the folks know where they can find you on social media as well.
I am at Jillian Rose Reed on all platforms. So Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And then my blog is jillianrosereed.net.
So nobody stole the Jillian Rose Reed at.
I got my handles.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. This was so fun.
I hope you folks enjoyed that interview, but now it's trivia time! Okay, folks, today on Trivia Time, I have Philip Elke joining me, who is a Patreon supporter of Disney Coast to Coast over at patreon.com/DisneyCTC. Hello, Philip, and thank you for supporting Disney Coast to Coast. How's it going?
Hey, Jeff. It's great to be here.
Excellent. You're a podcaster yourself. Why don't you tell folks a little bit about that?
Oh, I do a little show just kind of for fun called The Thodcast, where we talk about animated film and TV. You can check that out at thodcast.com, THAWEDCAST.
Awesome. And you are obsessed with Frozen. In fact, you have Frozen tattoos.
The name was inspired by the movie Frozen, for sure. And we've actually done more than one segment specifically related to Frozen and the lead up to Frozen 2.
And you were very happy with the Frozen 2 teaser trailer.
I was totally, just doing tailspins.
Okay, so today's Disney trivia is going to be about Disney Junior. So, Phil, would you like to hit me with the trivia question first, or shall I hit you?
Hit me.
Okay, cool. Well, from June 1999 through August of 2001, this Disney Junior show had its own live stage show at Disney's Hollywood Studios. It would later be replaced by Playhouse Disney Live on Stage, which in its earliest version still featured characters from this 1999 to 2001 show, in addition to other Playhouse Disney characters. What is the name of this original show? So, before Playhouse Disney Live on Stage, this one show had its own live stage show.
Wow. Well, I thought Disney Junior didn't begin until the 2000s.
Well, they had a segment of Disney Channel, like the morning, I think would be called Disney Junior or something like that. So it may have been part of that. I'll give you a hint. It was a Jim Henson show.
Well, I remember the Muppet Babies. Is it that?
It is not Muppet Babies. They did, although the Muppets did have a live stage show at Disney's Hollywood Studios or Disney MGM Studios at the time, way back in the day.
Was it Bear in the Big Blue House?
Very good. You got it. It was Bear in the Big Blue House live on stage. Was there from June of 99 to August of 2001. I never saw it. Did you happen to see it?
No, I've seen clips. It looks like an interesting show.
I don't think it went anywhere aside from Hollywood Studios. Like, I don't think it was ever at DCA or anything like that. In fact, DCA opened in 2001. So yeah, I don't think it ever came here, and I don't think it went overseas. I do like Bear in the Big Blue House, though. It's a fun show. And from what I understand, it's actually one of the properties that Disney purchased when they bought the Muppets. They also own Bear in the Big Blue House because it was a huge hit for Disney. But they don't do anything with that character anymore, which I kind of find interesting that they had this huge hit. I'm sure one of these days we'll see a reboot of it. But yeah. And then when it became the Playhouse Disney Live on Stage show, they actually, I guess, bookended the show, beginning and end, with Bear in the Big Blue House, and then put a bunch of shows in the middle of that. And then it became, the different versions, and now it's the Disney Junior Dance Party. So yeah.
Okay, wow.
Very good, though. Bear in the Big Blue House. I didn't think you'd get that. Nice job. What's your question for me?
So, Jeff, in Elena of Avalor, the country Avalor is home to a species of flying, talking cats called jacquins, which are a hybrid of two animals found in Latin America. Can you name the two animals that form the basis of the jacquins?
First of all, I thought you were going to ask me to name it, and I was like, I have no idea. So I'm glad you said jacquin, because I was like, oh no. So leopard is definitely one of them. Right?
Close.
Not a leopard?
Close.
Cheetah.
Close.
Oh.
I think you'll get it.
Not tiger, right?
Think of what sounds kind of like Jacqueline.
Jaguar.
Yes.
Okay. So jaguar, and then it flies. And you're saying this is a real animal, or is it like a unicorn, a made-up thing?
Yes, this is a bit trickier. It's a specific type of bird found in Latin America.
Gosh. Oh, clueless. I have no idea. A jaguar and a... I have no idea. What bird?
Do you want it?
Yeah.
A macaw.
A macaw. Oh, they sing about macaws in the tiki room. That's like one of
Yeah.
those. Yeah.
Because of their claws? No, because they're macaws.
Exactly. There we go. Awesome. Well, good trivia question. You stumped me. Philip, thank you so much for coming on Trivia Time. I had a great time with you.
My pleasure, Jeff. Thank you so much.
If you'd like to be a guest on Trivia Time, folks, just like Philip, head to patreon.com/DisneyCTC to find out how, as well as checking out the other rewards you can get by becoming part of the DCTC community. That's patreon.com/DIZNEYCTC. You can also find a link over at DisneyCoastToCoast.com where you can sign up to receive our monthly music playlist, find our social media links, and so much more. Other than that, folks, have a magical day. Bye!
Thanks for listening to Disney Coast to Coast. Have a magical day.
Disney Coast to Coast is produced and hosted by Jeff DePauli. Learn more about the podcast and become a supporter at DisneyCoastToCoast.com.